to a brand new episode of Straight Up Show Podcast. I am your host, Calvin. And y'all, it has been a lot going on this year, a lot of changes. Right now, we are in the middle of a new presidency. This is the second term, of course, for the 47th president, Donald Trump. And a lot of things have been going on. And if you've been living under a rock, one of the things that he talked about in his campaign that he wanted to talk about mass deportations. And when the first 2 weeks of this new administration started, we did see mass deportations. And of course, you know, if you're a fan of the show, you know we talk about deportations. We had the wonderful Abogada Cynthia Santiago on the show, immigration attorney in Los Angeles, to talk about all things immigration. But so you kind of heard her story and why she became an immigration lawyer, because her brother, who was misidentified as someone from El Salvador, was illegally detained as an immigrant and deported. And this happened to her. And so she had a chance to say, you know what? I don't want this to happen to more of my people of the Latino community. And so that's why she got into immigration law. And so that's kind of what we advocate here on Straight Up. Now, it has been a lot going on right now. And, you know, I'm not really big on social media because I'm kind of old and stuff like that. But, you know, getting on TikTok, if you're a fan of the show, you know I hate TikTok. I hate all things social media. But it does have great tools and it has great people on there. And I have been blessed to find people who are so supportive of immigration, and they have so many stories about what's going on with their personal lives when it comes to deportation, immigration, and being a status here in the United States. So today, I have met some wonderful people on TikTok. They have become family. When I say family, it has definitely been family because they brought me in. It has been nothing but love ever since. They all each have unique, different stories, and it's with that we became good friends, and I hope it continues to go. So with that being said, today's guest, I have four amazing people. I want to start left to right on my screen. They all have individual deportation stories that they're going to share with us today. So today's all about them and their stories. So without further ado, let me welcome Jackie, Kev, Meg, and Vanessa. So once again, y'all, thank y'all so much for coming on Straight Show Podcast.
You're welcome. Hi,
Thank
guys.
you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm Kev. What's going on, guys?
Yeah, and I just want to say, like, you know, I'm not making it about me, but like, you know, do y'all remember how every one of us kind of met? Like, do you know? Let's start with, you know, how did y'all kind of like meet each other? Like, let's start off with Kev right quick. How did you kind of get to know these people?
Mainly through TikTok. So I took a long break from TikTok previously from my other account because there was a lot of toxicity. Like, it got to the point where people were finding my wife's profile, doing all types of weird stuff. So I took a long break. And then, like, one day I decided to go back on TikTok. And then, like, within, like, I wouldn't even say less than a week, I met everybody else through one, Michael's live, and some an Informs live. And then I met a bunch of cool, dope individuals, and we just hit it off right away.
And Meg, like, how did you come about this whole group about people that have like-minded people?
Basically, you know, I was just scrolling on TikTok live one day. I got really bored, so I'm like, you know what? Let me go on live. Let me join up on some debates, and I joined Informs live. That's how I met Kev. And then out of one day, Michael's live randomly popped up on my free page, so I joined Michael's live, and then I met Vanessa and I met Jaclyn through there, and I met you through Jaclyn's live.
Speaking of Jaclyn, how did you come about of getting engaged with these people?
Well, for me, it's really hard because I had to make the decision to make what's going on in my personal life public. And that is not easy, especially with something as sensitive as immigration and deportation. And, you know, I just decided one day to go public about it to spread awareness, but also like spread my experience. And that took a lot of guts. And once I got enough of a following through sharing my story, I was able to, you know, go live and actually like engage with more people. And that's how I came across other content creators on the same situation that would go live. And then I met all you guys. I met Meg and Vanessa and Kev, and then of course you came along onto my live, and you know it was history ever since.
All right, and I say just want to talk to the last person, Miss Vanessa. Very vocal, very powerful. So, how did you come about of meeting all these people?
So I remember the first day. So I wasn't really on TikTok as much. I'm more on, like on Instagram usually. But I had just came back from a protest, and I remember I went on to Bobby's live. It was my very first live I had ever went on. But I feel like I was on such this high from the protest that like I still feel like I needed to say something. So then I was afraid to get on TikTok. Like, I was afraid to get on live. I didn't know what was gonna happen or what I was gonna say. So I went on to Bobby's live. There's this he used to be an ex border patrol agent. So I remember going on his live and like listening to him. He's just was like giving good such information, but also it's like the way he carried himself, he talked to people. So I remember being comfortable enough to say like, let me like request to see if I can get on this live, and he accepted me. And so I felt comfortable talking to him. I talked to him, I followed him. I then saw that he was on Michael's live, or he was on live. So when I clicked on it, he was on Michael's live. And from there, I ended up meeting the rest of the crew, like, Jaclyn and Meg and Kevin. And I think we were on Jackie's live for sure when you came on straight up. And then, like I said, it's history from there. I mean, it's been, it's been really cool, just kind of like how it lines up on how you connect. You know what I'm saying?
Like the perfect storm, right? Kind of like the perfect storm all together, and like kind of like Voltron. Meg Voltron's an old TV show. See, Meg is the baby. She's the baby of the group,
I don't know what
So
Who's
Voltron
Tom?
is.
she's the baby of
I
the
don't
group.
know who that is.
She's-
You don't know who Ultra? What?
I don't know who.
she doesn't know
She
who
didn't know who
Voltron.
Tom
Never
was.
watched any of the Avengers?
Oh man,
I've watched some of them, but I haven't like really read the comments. My dad was into them, but I never really
this
got.
what makes this crew so unique because we have an age gap like between all of us, and like, but it goes to show you that deportation. I said demonstrate. I can't see it. You see, I'm messing up today. But deportation doesn't just impact people who are young or old. It impacts everyone. And I want to go around the table right quick, kind of introduce yourself a little bit. But this time on this episode in particular, I want you, when you introduce yourself and your name, just tell us what race you identify with. So I want to start with Vanessa. Vanessa, just tell us who you are and what race you identify as.
So I'm Vanessa, and I would identify as Mexican, Hispanic, because that's where my roots come from. So as far
Okay.
as what I identify as my race is concerned.
Okay. Jackie?
I am Jackie, Jaclyn Mendez. And I'm from Dallas, Texas, by the way. And I also identify as I'm actually half Mexican, half Salvadorian from El Salvador. And I was born here in America, so I guess you can say I'm Latin American. But yeah, I identify as Mexican, Salvadorian, and American.
Okay. And then Kev, what do you identify as?
Yeah, so I'm black, but I am Caribbean, so I am Grenadian and Jamaican, and I grew up mostly in New York.
All right. And the baby. I was playing. No, Meg, man. Meg, can you tell us what you identify as?
Hi, my name is Meg. I live in South Carolina. I know I may look very white, but my parents are actually immigrants from Mexico and Honduras. So if I had to identify, I guess I would say, like Jaclyn said, Latin American.
Okay. And with that being said, thank y'all so much for sharing y'all's like identity and like that it shouldn't matter, right? To some people, but it does matter to a lot of people. And that's why a lot of people, here we go, are being discriminated to get deported. There we go. So I got a tongue twister there. But what I'm saying is that these people have also been impacted. Now, it's very unique because they all have different cultural backgrounds, but they all individually have been impacted about the situation, okay, when it comes to deportation. So when you saw these mass deportations starting off, just tell us, Kevin, when you saw these mass deportations going on, when he was kind of like a man of his word with Donald Trump, what was your first thoughts when you saw this?
Yeah, so initially, before I joined TikTok lives that were against mass deportation, I actually supported it because what I believed, I didn't have all the facts about the human rights violations, people not receiving due process, all of the facts that I knew at that time that there were people crossing the border illegally, and that's not fair. So therefore, my thought process was they should be able to be deported. But when you break it down and you really look at it and really look at the facts and the way they come in and the process of what they do to stay here, it benefits the United States way more than just sending them back to a country that's probably not even from their origin. So
And Meg, this is something new to me that I really didn't know because these four have been like kind of grouped up before I even got into the picture. So it helped me understand, Meg, when you and Kev got together, like, y'all didn't agree on the same terms about this. So what was the disagreement and how did you all get a chance to actually learn from it and understand each other?
So with Kev, we were beefing because he was not listening to me, and I'm sitting here, trying to tell him the facts. So I'm like, these people are being treated inhumane. They're violating human rights. They're violating your constitutional rights. And at first he didn't do his research. He didn't understand, and I feel like more and more he got on different panels, and and it wasn't just me. Jaclyn helped and Vanessa, and we got him to understand like this affects people. This like in a negative way. What they're doing isn't right. I mean, we know deportations are always going to happen. We can't stop that, but it's the way you conduct it, which our president right now, during his first term and then now his second term, it's wrong.
yeah.
And like, so the first time this happened, the second time, right? And was it a week after, maybe 2 weeks or a couple of days after, right? He had these mass deportations going to people's homes, going to people's schools. Vanessa, just initially on first thought, what was your first reaction when you heard this or you saw this actually? Because you're in Arizona, you're close to the border. So, like, what did you see firsthand, or how did you feel about this?
So it really bothered me a lot. I mean, because I remember, so I'm a Lyft driver, and so I remember I had shared this story. Like, so when everything started happening, people were just really scared, like nervous, like going to work wise, like nobody know, like they didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? So I went to. I remember like I was driving one night. I picked up this young lady, and she got in my car and she right away asked me, like, did I speak Spanish? And I said, yes. So right there, she got comfortable with me because, like, she felt comfortable to have a conversation with me. And ultimately, what she said to me was, she was like, I was so scared. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, I was really scared. Like, I was just so in a hurry for you to come get me. And I said, why? And she said, because, like, I don't know what's going to happen. Anyways, she said, I don't know what's gonna happen. And she was like, I don't want to stand outside because I'm scared. Like, I don't know, like they're gonna like pick me up or take me or what. And so like I stayed talking to her because like I felt like, she like obviously needed she didn't need to talk. And I was really upset too, because I'm like, I'm listening to this, I'm getting upset, like this is so messed up. And one of the things that I remember her saying to me was like, because I explained, like, I was like, yeah, me and my family, like, we're from Arizona, like, we're all from here. And so her knowing that, like, we're obviously citizens, we're from here. In talking to her, I said, yeah, I said, this is like some really hard times. Like, we're really going to go through some really hard times right now. And she said to me, she goes, yeah, she goes, but you know what? At least you could sleep at night. She said, me, I haven't even gotten no sleep. And I don't even know if I shared this part of the story with anybody. But she actually had gotten her car stolen. And
Okay, take your
she
time.
didn't want to she didn't want to call the police because
Yeah.
she didn't know what was gonna happen. So it really messed me up. And I had just seen like multiple people like that, like even people get in my car, like, I've seen two sides. I've seen people be really happy and excited because they see I'm Latina, so they know like they can talk to me, they feel comfortable with me in the car. Um, and I've also had people be pretty racist towards me because they could tell I'm a Latina. So um, I've been dealing with that too on the road.
So you've
So
been dealing with just basically just on-site racism because they hear you and they think that you're automatically Latina.
yeah, like I've actually been asked in the car, um, what race am I? And because I said I was Hispanic, and then people been rude to me in the car. So um, I used to drive a lot at night, and then I decided that I wasn't going to drive at night anymore and that I was gonna drive during the daytime because I wanted to feel safer. Like if some, because I never felt unsafe at night. Honestly, like people would think it's probably weird because like I'm a girl and I probably shouldn't be driving at night. But I honestly never really felt unsafe at night. But because of everything that was happening, then I started to feel unsafe. So then I started driving during the daytime so that like if somebody did try some shit on me, then at least that would be like there would be people around. So I started driving during the daytime because of that reason.
It
Um, yeah.
and the thing is, like, because like I said, this has been a family that we've been dealing with because we have like-minded people, and uh me personally, on my personal level, I know Vanessa, and to see that the fact that this bothers her a lot goes to show you that, and I'm not going to lie, Vanessa's one of the strongest people I met. And to see her get so emotional about this goes to show you how important this subject is in our country right now in America. So when we come back from break, we're going to hear from Jackie. And Jackie is definitely feeling the impact of this current administration's immigration policies right now. So we're going to have a little bit more on the Straight Up Show podcast. Make sure you stay tuned on the other side of the break.
Votación es un derecho, un privilegio y una responsabilidad. Muchos han hecho el máximo sacrificio solo para que podamos tener la capacidad de votar sobre lo que creemos que es mejor para nosotros y nuestra comunidad. Así que, aquí en Straight Up, te pedimos que investigues, deja que tu voz sea escuchado y que estés orgulloso de decir, I straight up votó.
Our world is made up of roughly 8 billion people. People of different races, different cultures, and different languages. And sometimes being different is often frowned upon due to a number of things. But here at Straight Up, we believe it's our job as people to sit at the table, learn from each other, in hopes of making our world into a better place to live. So join us as we have these cultural conversations. Only on the Straight Up Show podcast.
Welcome back to the Straight Up Show podcast. I am your host, Calvin. Hey, this has been a crazy episode so far, very emotional. And today we're talking about deportation. And as it stands right now, as currently as this show is being recorded, it is the year of 2025. We're in the early stages of Donald Trump's second presidency, to where deportation of illegal immigrants has been on the main topic of discussion from anywhere on social media, TV outlets, and all across the world. People are paying attention to what we got going on in America when it comes to deportation, because it may impact them too. So today I have 4 wonderful guests, people who I did meet on social media. Before we go any further, can we please give a shout out to Michael, because he has definitely been one of the most vocal people on TikTok, bringing awareness and advocating for these things, to where he doesn't have to, but he is doing it. And it's with Michael and Bobby. They kind of brought us together. So I want to give a big thanks to my guests today. We have Jackie, Kevin, Meg, and Vanessa. So once again, thank y'all so much for coming on Straight Up Show podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
giving us this platform.
Yeah, and so
Are we getting paid?
no. So I'm not playing with it. But so how it is that right now, before we went to commercial break, we last heard from Vanessa, who is a person that does live and deals with people. She is in the state of Arizona. She is mixed with people who are all in her car. And she told us a story about picking someone who was scared to even go to the police for help. And you can just see the emotion of Vanessa's eyes. Now, as they identify, those who are listening to the podcast and can't see the people on the panel, they are all different races, and they all are identified as different cultures, right? One in particularly is Meg, the baby. I'm just playing Meg, but she is a pivotal part of our group. And she is, what's your race again, Meg?
I guess you would say white because it's what I put on my federal documents.
Okay. But you have parents who are
Immigrants from Honduras and Mexico, yes, so Latina American.
But just like Vanessa, you too have dealt with basically not as much racism, but you get misidentified a lot, right? And how has that experience affected you?
So personally, I am very white presenting, green eyes, light skin, brown hair, and a lot of people first assume that I am white, but the whole racism thing and the slurs and all that comes into play when I mention that my parents are immigrants. My mom's from Honduras, my dad's from Mexico, and I started speaking Spanish. And I started expressing like my culture and who I am, and that's where I'm being called I don't know if I can say the words, but every slur in the book, especially because I do live in South Carolina, which is a very red Republican racist state. So we don't really have a community here like you would in California or New York, Chicago. And it's just sometimes it's really hard, and it does get to me because it's like I didn't ask to be born this way. I kind of just am. I didn't ask for my parents, but I love my culture, and I'm not gonna let these people get to me because I've been told myself, I'm gonna like go back to your country. Why did your parents go back and all that? And that's been happening since like elementary school. Like I remember I was playing on the playground one day and I started speaking Spanish, and some girl came up to me and she's like, "Why are you speaking that? We don't understand. Speak English." And it's like,
Wow.
really, that's not my fault, but
And like Meg's story is just one of them. And like she said, she has parents who are immigrants here in the United States. And like I hate that happened to you, Meg. It shouldn't have happened. But Meg's story is so many. And I saved this interview because, it's something very critical. And this is kind of how I found them all together. It started with Jackie. And this actually my introduction to them started with Jackie, but I met all of them through Bobby. But just seeing her live and hearing her story. And Jackie, for those, like I said, this may be a little emotional, but for those who don't know your story, can you just tell us briefly about how has deportation affected your life and your family?
Mm. Right. So I met an amazing man who, we fell in love, and I really liked him, and he was the one who I wanted to like be serious with. Unfortunately, I'm going through a divorce, so I couldn't marry him right away to begin the process to fix his documentation. Because yes, I did find out that he was here undocumented. He was brought here as a child, and so you know basically one day, and this was just a few months ago, immigration came to our house, and they were undercover outside of our house because somebody called in. And I don't want to say like, I don't want to name drop exactly who it was because I do know who it was, but because of legalities, because I'm going through that legal thing, and so is my husband. Somebody called in a tip basically who was didn't want to see us happy basically, and because immigration is such a huge topic, and they were giving out the hotline of of paying people to like give a tip on someone. Well, somebody called in one on the father of my son, and so basically, they took him. And the thing that they don't realize how it affects people is that like that when this actually happens to somebody, like we're real people. My home went from it went from a family, it went from a family, it went from laughs, from love, from us welcoming our baby home to us, to silence, to tears, to loneliness. And that's the reality of what people face when this happens. It's from one day to the next. Um, it's from one day to the next, and you have no control over it anymore. And all you can do is pray that the system, doesn't chew you up and spit you out. And right now, the father of my son is incarcerated, and because of the mass deportations, it's taking months for us to even get answers. And because of the mass deportations, the immigration centers are filled with people, and there's not even enough supplies for people. There's not enough blankets, not even enough food. And so he's just waiting, basically a sitting duck, waiting to see a judge and to be deported. And now I've been here for 31 years in Texas. And my son is a year now, and I have to figure out how I'm gonna pick up and move once, once we get answers. And I have to figure out my life now in another country. And I know I don't have to, but it's something that I feel I have to do for my family. My son deserves his father. So, I mean, that's the reality people face when deportation comes knocking at your door.
And I can understand like the separation, and I know it has not been easy for you. Uh, right now, your spouse right now, how is what's his emotional state like now, and what is he going through that people probably don't understand? Like, what's his emotional state? He's separated from his family, his kid. Like, currently, what is he seeing, and what is his emotional state?
Well, so for him, it's really hard because all he knows is Texas. Like, he was brought here as a child, like I said. So, we were in bliss because we had just had our son. So he's like, he's depressed that he's missing out on my son's life. He's upset that he's not there for me, that, because he sees how I'm struggling every day that we talk on the phone. He it's like he feels trapped. He feel, because he can't do anything for me. And so his emotional state is it's a roller coaster because he knows what we're facing. He knows that we're facing moving out the country. And again, like his Spanish is way better than mine, but he is still Americanized. You can't change the fact that he is Americanized. So he's basically too Mexican for the USA, and he's too Americanized for Mexico, because once we go over there, like it's n- it- w- we're strangers. It's a strange country to us. So we're just, we're scared.
And unlike a lot of people, maybe I'm misinformed, but unlike a lot of people, you do have the ability to communicate with him and talk to him and actually go see him. Correct? How is that different from other people?
Well, because obviously you have to have the funds for it, you have to have the support for it, you have to have the time for it, because the phone calls aren't free. His if I wasn't sending him money, if our family wasn't sending him money, he would just have to have the cafeteria food, and it's not even good. He everything costs money, basically. Like every phone call is at least like $10. And his food, even a cup of noodles that costs like 20 something cents at Walmart, he has to pay 250 for it in the jail. So it's hard. It's not easy. And other people who don't have that, he tells me all the time, like when he gets his commissary, people beg him to trade stuff for it, because there's not everybody in there gets any type of help at all. And he's literally blessed that he does. And it also, I'm not gonna lie, like some people get envious in the jail too. They see you getting commissary, they see you getting phone calls, and they want to mess with you because they're jealous. So it's like you can't win. You just can't.
And before I kind of go over it a little bit, when it comes to like, I know your kid's 1 years old right now, and but as a mother and as a parent, and since the son or the father's no longer involved, have you, even though that he's one, have you seen a difference in your son since has his dad's left or no?
Yeah. Yeah, I have. He he was a daddy's boy when he was here. He loved his dad. He liked him more than me, and I'm his mom. Like he favored his father. And I've kept up religiously with the FaceTimes, because you don't just get phone calls, you can also pay for a FaceTime. So I've been keeping up with the FaceTime so that he can see his dad. And little by little, I see him not really, I don't see him like grasping the FaceTime as much as he used to. Like when we first went through this, he would grab the phone, he would say pop, he would say papa. And I'm sorry, now he hardly pays attention. So it's really hard. Like I feel like he's forgetting his dad. And it sucks. And I know that a lot of people say, well, hey, the bright side is that because he's so little, he's not going to remember this. And once your husband gets out of jail, y'all can mend that relationship between him and his dad. But I can't help because I'm on the outside looking in. I see my son, like, I see him, like, visibly see him forgetting his father because his father's not here. But he does smile at him. I'm just saying that, like, it's not the same as it was before.
Mm, and I'm so sorry to hear that. I can only imagine what you're going through. And with that being said, I know that it takes a toll on you and yourself, and there's a lot going on now. I know I said that whatever happens, you're going to follow him wherever he goes. But in this meantime, while you wait, how have you been coping with this? How have you been dealing with this? And what's some advice you can tell people who are going through this too?
Um, you have to find something to give you hope. You have to be positive. You have to lean on people. That's why I'm honestly so blessed that I found you guys because, I do have my family, of course. Um, but even family sometimes, they've got their own thing going on. And they do check on me, sure, but like checking on me isn't the same thing as like visiting me or coming to pick me up to get me out the house because I'm here all the time. It's not the same. So the people I have here physically in my life, it's not always enough. So then I've found more support through this platform. And that honestly, that was the reason I went public about our story was to find people who cared, basically, to find people to relate to. And so basically my piece of advice is to find something to keep your spirits up because it is not for the weak to go what I'm going through. And it's not just me. Like I'm the spouse of someone taken, but you've got spouses who are going through it. You've got the person who's actually going through it, like my husband. You've got the children. Like some people are teenagers and their parents get taken and they do understand and they do mourn the loss of their parent. Again, that's why I'm saying some people say, well, the bright side is your baby's a baby, but it doesn't make it any easier saying that. What I'm trying to say is like, finding support is the biggest thing you have to do and staying positive and keeping your faith that, it's not forever. They didn't hurt anybody. They're going to be let out. They're sure they might be deported, but you can figure something out to keep your family together. And that's the biggest blessing, after all this nightmare, you could say.
It's tough to hear your story. It's really tough to even stomach that no one wants anybody to be separated from their families at all. And I think a lot of people don't understand that the families are the most impacted when this comes on. So thank you, Jackie, for just being brave enough to actually tell your story public, so you can get self awareness or awareness out there, and let people
Yeah.
know what's going on. And like I said, this is you found people, like minded people who have gone through the same thing. One of those people being Meg, and Meg, you kind of have not the same story, but you've kind of experienced somewhat of what Jackie has been through. Can you tell us, like, what was it like and what you've been through?
So I was 12 years old when my father got deported. So basically, I'm just gonna give a little backstory. My mom's sister was living with us. She was going to school here, but then my parents decided that she was gonna go back to Honduras because they couldn't support her. Because my dad also has my sister who lives in New York, and he felt like he wasn't giving her enough support. And she decided that she was going to she was going to accuse my father of a crime to try and get citizenship through a U visa. So she accused him of that crime. He went to jail, and then when we paid his bonds, that's when immigration got him. And he was in immigration for about a year. And so the judge said that, I'm gonna give you your residency, you're gonna be able to stay with your kids and your family. And so the judge that he had caught cancer, so he retired. And then the judge that my dad was appointed to, the judge that had was overseeing my dad's case, the new one, he said that no, he was going to deport him. So they sent him back to Mexico, which really hurt because my dad came to the United States trying to claim asylum because He was a federal police officer in Mexico, and he put a lot of bad people, and he put a lot of bad people in jail and in prison. So he's been here for over 30 years. So much time has passed that these people are already out, and he's fearing for his life. I mean, there's people who shot up his car when he went back to Mexico. And it really hurts because he's so scared to live in Mexico that he doesn't live in Mexico. He lives in Guatemala because he can't return to Mexico, and he refuses to. Like, he'll go see his mom and everything. But it's hard because, I was 12, so I understood what was going on, and it hurts even more because it was a family member who did that to me. It was somebody who I thought of as a sister because we were so close in age. We would share the same bed. We would do everything together, and I didn't have my sister there. And it just hurts because, again, my dad left, so I was stuck raising my brother, and he was 2, and and this gonna sound so mean towards my siblings, but I was favored by my father. I was a daddy's girl, and having him ripped away from me at such a young age because of a selfish action really hurts. And I'm trying not to cry, but yeah, so I was stuck raising my brother, and I still raise my brother to this day. And it's not just how it affected me, seeing my mom have to go through that, seeing her busting her ass, trying to provide for a family without a husband, without a man. It's been 6 years, so this happened during his first presidency. And it's unfair because they didn't let him prove whether he was innocent or guilty until after he was deported. The girls said that it was all a lie, that none of it was true.
Wow. And he's still paying for it.
He's still paying for it. We're trying to find different outlets for him to come back, but it's affected it. Like, even in these past 6 years, there's so much going on personally with him, and it affects my brother because he doesn't acknowledge him. He barely wants to speak to him. His relationship with my sister is damaged, and I'm the only one out of his 3 kids that actually speaks to him. And it hurts because he's been so alone. He's been alone for the past 6 years, and and it hurts me too because having to deal with that, I struggled with so much. I struggled with addiction, mental health. I almost dropped out of high school for it, and it's a lot. It does take a mental toll.
And I can see it. Like, to be transparent, it's hard for me to hear these stories because, and if you hear this too, I can only imagine you can hear it. But me personally, to know these people and to know how strong these people are, when I tell you these 4 individuals are strong, and to see them hurt from senseless actions because you're saying they don't deserve to be here. It's rare that I cry on air, but like we make fun of Meg, but it's like she's the baby. So, but she's the youngest out of our group, but she's probably one of the most smartest people you will ever meet. So to see her be emotional about this, that goes to show you the authenticity of the emotions, the impact that deportation has not only on families, but the people who they leave behind as well. We're going to have more stories about deportation. Going to talk to Kevin and Vanessa on the other side of the break. Make sure you stay tuned to the Straight Up Show podcast. The videos and images displayed all across the world cannot fully express what the people of Ukraine are going through. This senseless act of terrorism has cost many their lives and forced millions of Ukrainians out of their homes. Yet it's the Ukrainians' pride and resiliency that has inspired the entire world. So we here at Straight Up ask you to stand for freedom, stand for human rights, but most importantly, join us as we stand with Ukraine.
Straight up means to be able to speak in a way that is straight up. to be honest and to speak your truth.
Raw, uncut, you know what I mean? It's blunt, you know, straight to the point. This is what it is.
It's just a place to be open and honest, and that's what I appreciate most about it. And it provides a place for community members to come together and just be straight up with each other about things that are going on in the world, because it affects all of us.
Unfiltered, raw, with all the cursing that Calvin does.
Straight up is just being real, telling it like it is, you know, being you.
Being solid, being who you are, no matter what it is, no matter what situation you're faced with. Right, this is who you are. It really speaks to me, saying it is what it is and it ain't what it ain't. Straight up.
We are presidency. Tune in to the Straight Up Show podcast.
Welcome back to the Straight Up Show podcast. I am your host, Calvin. And if you can hear my little crackle in my voice, it's all because this has been an emotional episode. And I'm blessed to be joined with 4 people who have all different stories about deportation. Like I said, coming to this country, I am the ancestor of slaves who came here unwillingly to America. But leaving America has been an issue as of late in this generation. Now America is a melting pot of different races and cultures, and people want to come here for a better life. Now as it stands, we have people on today's show, 4 beautiful, strong-minded people. And if you heard before the break, we heard one of them, Jackie, who is now a mother raising her child alone because her spouse was picked up by immigration. Now she's doing this alone because of one person's evil act to get her family separated. We also heard from Meg. Meg is a young person that we all grow and love, but she told her story about how now her father has been deported, and now it is painting a wedge between her family as Meg tries to pick up the pieces and be there for her family to keep that glue. Now, if you know Meg, like we all do, Meg is definitely a person who we consider to be the glue of everything. So to hear her story, to be so emotional, it goes to show you how impactful these decisions the administration has made that's causing the rift in families all across America. Now, people here are questionable about their status and what they're going through. And we're going to talk about that in a second, but I want to give a big thanks to my guest today. I want to big thanks to Meg, Kev, Jackie, and Vanessa for all coming on today's show. So thank y'all once again for coming on Straight Up Show podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you. We really
For
appreciate
having
it.
us. We appreciate you.
Anytime.
Yeah, so you get the waterworks ready, y'all, because this is some real stuff. And like, this isn't fixed. This isn't staged. This is all real life. And, you know, one person that I met, and like, you know, we actually had some encounters about our own racism on TikTok, which you probably wouldn't hear about internal Black racism. And that's kind of how, like, you know, me and Kev kind of met in a way. But Kev, you kind of have your own kind of undocumented and immigration story yourself. So once again, Kev, thank you for coming on the show. But can you tell us about what you've been through?
Yeah, so I came here in America in 2005 under the Bush administration. I was under the impression that my mom came here through a visa, which she did, but the visa that I thought she had was the one where you were awarded it, where you were able to come to America and soon grant citizenship, but it wasn't. It was just a regular visa through the embassy in the Caribbeans. And basically what I found out, I'm pretty sure like this week, that my mom stayed here until the visa expired after 90 days, of course. And then it took us a couple of years to get our green card, which is legal status at that point. So I want to say like for the duration of like 5+ years, we were undocumented to my knowledge now. And I find that to be incredible because for someone who was advocating for everyone to be deported, it's like, oh wow, like it really hits close to home. So with that being said, once I talked to my mom and I try to get a good understanding about like the story, because I've never really asked about it, we came to America because of the DV situation with my father. My mom decided to leave Jamaica because we were living in Jamaica at the time. She sold the land after they got a divorce. She sold the land, spent the the last money she had to come to America, and that's how basically I came to America. And for the what's really interesting is that I asked her, I was like, how was I able to like go to school and stuff if I didn't have any documentation? And she said back then they weren't as strict on immigration, so they were allowing students to go in without questions asked, and it was never an issue. So I'm finding it now. If it wasn't an issue back then, why is it an issue now? Is it because we're just having a political shift? Is it just because people are just noticing it and now that they just want to pick an issue? So that's where I'm like I'm at with that, and like why I started advocating for people who are going through this situation.
And like you and all of us have become very close, and
Hmm.
your story is a little different than Meg and Jackie's, and like
Hmm.
when you hear their stories and like knowing what you've been through, not in a way how I guess in a way easier for you, like
Yeah.
how do you feel when you hear their stories compared to yours?
Yeah, it's a very impactful stories because it's just like it like I could never imagine what they went through, and like but I can see their story playing out and how it impacted their life, and how they're not just one story, there are millions of stories that's happening at the simultaneously that's going to continue to happen unless we do something about it. And that's why like I'm usually for me I usually don't really advocate for stuff. I've never been that person who advocate. I usually just see it and just keep it pushing, but I'm starting to make a change, and now I want to speak up for people who have voices like Jaclyn, Vanessa, and Meg, and us, and basically try to support them and support the stories of people who are in situations like this, so people could finally understand that it's not just about you and your political views. These are actual families that you're breaking up. Because when I really looked at the statistics, it literally stated that out of the 11.7 million undocumented immigrants, 70 to 74% of them have at least one children born in the U.S., which means that if you deport one of the family members, you are breaking up families. That's 74, that's 70 plus 70% of families that you're breaking up. So that's millions of children who are going to be separated from their family. And I can't support that. I don't know who can support that.
And it's been crazy. And it's crazy that, a rift that we had kind of within the group,
Mm.
is that, people don't understand this. Like, Meg has received racism because her skin is pale. Vanessa, she's had experienced her own racism too because she's Latina. But you have internal racism in that, can you explain that to people? Because even though you're not from America, explain how racism has worked against you too with your own Black community.
Yeah, so when it comes to that, like so the fact that I'm Caribbean and I'm not fully delved into the African American Black culture, I was always not Black enough or not Caribbean enough because of the time frame of where I grew up. So like when I'm in Jamaica and my patois isn't as clear as I should be, then they call me, then I get called certain names and stuff like that. Or when I'm hanging out with people of my own in certain areas and I don't know certain things about like Tupac songs and stuff like that, then they're like, "Oh, bro, we're gonna take your black card." So like I've dealt with stuff like that because of like my transition of where I grew up and stuff like that, and it's been impactful because it's just like you really want the support of your own people, but yet you get division within your own group because of your background and stuff like that. So I can like understand where Meg and everyone else is talking about when it comes to like division within your own people.
And it's crazy how, like, because we're both Black men,
Yeah.
but it's crazy how people don't really see that. Hey, it's not just white tea people who are attacking Hispanics. It's like it's
Mhm.
happening within the Black community as well, and it's kind of crazy because like, well, we're not validating your right to be here either. You're not right to be just as American as we are too. So I'm not trying to put this as a picture. It's all one race. It's all over the country, and it's something that we have to deal with. And so I want to thank Kevin for sharing the story first off. And, I can only imagine just the confusion, but to seeing your friends go through this too, to now
Yeah.
it's harder for them, it has to be confusing, so it's great to see people like Kevin who has used his status to say, you know what, I'm going to be there for my friends. I'm going to be the people who don't have it as not as easy, but just not as complicated as us. And so big thanks to Kevin, but Vanessa, these people for a while now. And, we have 4 years left, under 4 years left now. What do you see that can happen to ease the pain, or what do you want to see, or what's your thoughts about all this going on right now?
I mean, I just feel like more importantly, like the more that we stay united, I think, things can happen, things can change. There's so much division. Like, there's just so much division. I always keep saying this was like they're just trying to divide and conquer at this point. And so they have, like, I say this all the time, like, well, we're even fighting our own people, like within the Latino community, like how they feel like Latinos are racist towards other Latinos. It's like the craziest thing I've ever seen. Like, I don't understand it. And I feel like I've come across it more now because I've been on the TikTok lives and I've been like seeing all these different TikTok lives and I'm just seeing like how people are and it's just it's crazy to me. I also like have seen me and Meg have been on other lives where let's say there were uh, maybe the live was probably had more black people on it and we came in as we're the Latinas but they didn't see us as Latinas. They were like, you guys are white, and and then they're going in on us and they kick us out of there because they're like, you're white, and we're like, we're not white, what are you talking about? Like, I don't understand. So like, I think that if people would just stop with the division, and stop the hate and start loving more. I think that people would stand up for what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. I think that we just I don't want to see families be taken apart, man. It's not okay. Like when I hear the stories that I've been hearing, like I think like you asked me like, am I dealing with anything like that as far as like having like families that are being deported? I don't have any families that are being deported, but I'm seeing families being ripped apart. And for me as a mother, because I'm a mother, I cannot imagine having to be ripped away from my children, or hearing the stories about like what's happening with the children. Like I think like I think you guys heard like they took resources away from kids who are having to go to these courts and they don't have no support system. Like they don't have no one representing them. Like they don't know what's going on. They may not even understand. So like I think it's really disgusting. And I think, instead of firing all the people that he fired when it comes to like all these judges and stuff, I think it's important that we should be hiring more judges and processing these cases a lot faster and not trying to trick the people into coming to their appointments than just to turn around and deport these guys. And I think another story that's super important to talk about, and not to make a big thing of this one, but it's just like even considering the Luis Alberto Rivera Castillo, I believe was his name, but the man was deported to Guantanamo, and he didn't even do anything wrong. Like you're deporting innocent people. Like I have an issue with that. So even considering families that are being ripped apart, but also like just sending innocent people that have done nothing. I mean, yes, he listen. He's when people say he's a man of his word that what he was gonna do, he said, "I'm going to send away the criminals." So I think we're all okay with that. Like we have no issue with that, right? I think we're all in agreement that like if they've done something wrong, yeah, they gotta go. We're okay with that. We have no problem with that. But when you have people that are out here contributing to the community, contributing to the economy. I think we said it was like they're 60% less likely to commit crimes, and also they actually help our community on a national level, on a state level, on a county level, in a community level. It actually helps keeps our community safer because they're more willing to do everything the right way because they're not trying to get in any trouble. And if they see you in trouble, they're going to help you. They're going to call and say, "Hey, this person's in trouble." So versus some people just don't say nothing at all. So they do help the community. So I would love to see people just be more understanding and more aware, consciously aware of the effect it has on people all across the board.
So, Jocelyn Rojos too, she was a child who was due to this current administration, she faced bullying. People in her class told her, "You're gonna be deported, your family is going to be deported." And they said awful things to her, and it hurts me because our father was deported. And people don't realize that this is impacting kids. She took her own life. An 11-year-old child didn't want to live in this world anymore. She took her own life. and it hurts, like I said, in deportations and the way that this current president talks about it, and the way people, they try to make them out. They're like, these are all criminals. They're not. These are people who came to America for a better life. And it's, like I said, it's not just the adults, it's the children. The fact that, again, and I will say her name, Jocelynn Rojo, who was an 11-year-old girl who took her life because of this administration and the influence it puts on people. And it hurts because you just see how people blindly follow this administration and don't do their research. I mean, this is all public information. These people don't really commit crimes. If we go to fiscal year 2024, 0.15% of them committed actual crimes, and over half of those crimes were either illegal entry or re-entry. So a lot of them just want a better life, and it hurts. Like it just hurts that people don't. They're just like, they're criminals. Send them all back. But y'all don't understand. Your words are hurting people. It's hurting families. It's destroying lives, and it's. And I really, with this platform, I've tried, and I want to get these people educated because I want to save people like Jocelyn Rojo said. I want to save other children and other families from being ripped apart. And I don't want to see any more people being affected like this, like her. She was such an innocent little girl. And it's just the way that nobody spoke out on it. The media barely covered it. The president didn't say her name. And it's like they want to hide all this information and how it affects families. They want to hide the truth. And it's hard. It's hard to see that.
It is hard. And when I heard that story about Jocelynn, it brought me to tears because, like I said, and especially, when it comes to anything in life, the children are innocent always. When it comes to crime, when it comes to anything, the children are innocent. They're babies. As we wrap this up, we have to do better, and it doesn't matter what your political spectrum is. Like when it becomes a problem, when it impacts people's families, but the children, it's a big issue. I'm gonna go around the table right quick and kind of ask y'all just, I'm gonna start with Jackie. What is something that you want people to learn about this and what you're going through? What the people who are so eager to fight this and be supportive of the administration, they don't really care because they were born here. Your last words, what would you want people to learn about all this going on and what they don't know?
I think the biggest thing that they need to realize is that they need to stop dehumanizing these people because I mean, even again, like what we just spoke about what happened with Jocelyn, like although a child, look at how much it impacted her and and what happened to her. And like I had said before, like because I went public about my story, now my inbox is constantly flooded with that same bullying. And thank God I have something to cling on to with my son here every day to remind me what the ultimate goal is. And the goal is to keep our family together no matter what we go through. So my biggest thing is just to remember these are real human beings. Meg's a real human being who lost her father. I'm a real human being who lost the father of my son, and my son's a real human being who lost his dad. So we're just real people with real feelings, and not all of us actually committed a crime and we're going through this. There's so many different situations and factors that you just have to be aware about and educate yourself.
And Vanessa, like, what would you want people to learn and like be more educated about?
I think, especially when it comes to our people, I'm just gonna say this, but people need to remember where their background came from, where it all started, who paved the way for them, and stop, just don't forget, you guys. Like, you somewhere down the line, someone paved the way for you to be here. So just taking that into consideration and to just start being more loving and start being more thoughtful and giving grace to people that you see out there. You just don't know who you're impacting, and to educate yourself more. I keep telling people this, like, just educate yourself. There's so much resources out there. You don't have to go based off what we're saying or what anybody else is telling you. Like, literally do your research, and you might find like your heart might change. And I think we've come across a lot of people who probably thought that, like, yeah, let's do mass deportations, and until they started listening to us and listening to stories and doing research, people are now like feeling differently about it. But it's all about doing your research, honestly.
Okay.
The media is not your friend. It's not there to inform you on what you think they want you to inform you. That's why it's important for you to do your due diligence to find out the facts instead of just taking headlines, because headlines are one of the most dangerous political stunts there is, because it can corrupt a group of individuals to act a certain way towards a group of individuals because of what it says. That's why I tell people, look at it into their perspective. Because, for example, there was a white male who was 65 and was going to go get his Social Security, but then he found out that his parents were never U.S. citizens and they were undocumented. And he was not deported. He was given the opportunity to just apply, even though he worked here for the last 65 years. And every person who read the story that was on the news felt bad for him and supported his journey to apply for U.S. citizen and get it. But I'm saying that if you guys are able to understand his story, why can't you understand an immigrant story that's not white? So I need people to understand your internal racism, because that's what it is. But deconstruct that and realize that if he can do it, everyone else can do it as well, and become working members of society, because it's not that hard. Like, if you really look at it, and I ask people this too, if what you're saying is that they commit a lot of crime, and yes, we've deported, I want to say like 30,000 people so far, why haven't our crime rates gone down? Why do we still have certain issues we have now? The media is blaming undocumented immigrants on a lot of our economic standpoints, but yet everything's the same, even though a large majority of them are leaving. So I beg them to act. I want them to ask themselves, "Am I being told the truth?" And I'll just leave it there at that.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna end it with Meg, the baby. I'm just kidding. I got so much love for this girl, y'all. Y'all have no idea, because just to have me crying. First off, I'm hard, you know what I mean. But to have me crying, but you've been in panels to where you hold your own, and a lot of people try to silence you because of your age and stuff like that. But I've seen you mollywop people in lives, and you're so passionate, you're so headstrong. I have the honor, it's a privilege to let you go last on this, but I'm gonna make this question different from you. For anybody else, this is different just for you. If I'm Donald Trump and I'm face to face with you right now, what would you want to tell me?
I want to let you know that the way you're dehumanizing people, what you're doing to these families, you're breaking the constant. You're not following the law that you say they're not following. They have the right under the 14th Amendment to due process, and to anybody that doesn't believe me, it's a simple Google search. Undocumented people, whether you entered this country through a visa, whether you entered through the border, the river, the desert, it doesn't matter. And this goes to my people and to anybody else. You have constitutional rights. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to an attorney. And that's what I don't get. I don't understand that. What is going through your mind? Like, you are breaking laws. We have a constitution in place for a reason, and it needs to be followed. Taking away birthright citizenship, you're taking away the reason why these people come, because they want a better life for their kids. Why my parents came, to give me a better life, to give my brother a better life, my sister, to see us succeed in a society that, even though it's not for us, we can still fight for it. And it just goes to to a lot of people. And I'm not telling you go to school to be a lawyer, but read on your laws. Stop making assumptions. Stop saying these are all criminals. It's a crime if you enter this country illegally, because it is not. Learn your codes, learn your titles. And there's one thing that I do wanna mention is the fact that you want to sit here and you want to deport all these hardworking people who pay taxes, who don't get any money back, people who contribute to the society economically, community wise, whatever they do. These immigrants are hardworking people. They're not going to come here and risk their life and start committing crimes because, oh, I can do it. At the end of the day, you are in the system regardless. You end up in the system one way or another, and that's what people don't understand. And I feel like people need to do their research. And sitting here trying to deport these people, a lot of these people are sitting here in the middle of their process trying to get their papers. They're paying thousands of dollars in fees, they're paying thousands of dollars in attorneys, and for you to just sit there and deport them is inhumane. The conditions in these detention facilities is inhumane. The stories my dad has told me, and I've heard from Jaclyn and her husband, and I feel so bad because nobody should be in that situation. They're held like cattle. They're not animals. These are humans. These are humans and families. And I try my best to advocate. And it's hurtful because he's going to sit here and turn around and then sell citizenship for $5 million. Nobody has that type of money. And instead of giving these people who want an opportunity to live a better life, they want an opportunity to be citizens of America and to contribute to our economy even more than they already do. You push them away, you turn them away, you send them, you shackle them, and you chain them up like animals. And it's hard to see that in the way this presidency is conducting itself. What makes you think it's okay to post an ASMR deportation video? That is disgusting. That is disgusting. Everything they're doing is inhumane in the way they're treating these people. So to end it off, I would really like for people to do their research. I would really like y'all to go under Title 8 and read all those codes and read them fully and understand that a lot of the only thing that is a felony is a re-entry to the country under Title 8 U.S. Code 1326. The whole gold card thing, your president is the number one criminal. 34 felony counts, and not even that. Selling a gold card for $5 million, that's also a crime. It is a crime, and y'all can look this up. Title 18 U.S. Code 1422. I can go about it all day, but at the end of the day, please do your research on what's going on, because the media is lying to you and your president is a fraud. And to my people, to my undocumented people, to my people who have family members who are going through this, let them know that just because they are undocumented, they have rights. They have rights because under the Constitution, whether you are a citizen or not, most constitutional rights apply to you, such as the 14th Amendment, such as, it's either the 4th or the 5th where the seizures. Either way, you have constitutional rights, and I hope y'all know that.
Wow. I have no words. You didn't give me this time, Meg. I didn't cry. But to me, I've been born here. I'm an American, but my family, obviously, slaves. But to be part of this generation now to where it's happening in a way to about history books of this country that I read about, my grandma went through. I had to deal with my grandmother who was here in America to where she couldn't vote because she was a woman and because she was Black. The same rights have been taken away from other people, and you may not see it, but it's happening. I hope y'all understand this is why I had to have these people on this cast today. Not only because of their individual efforts to fight in a cause they believe in, but because they have a passion. This is emotion. This is real life. And just because some of you are comfortable right now in your life, your fellow human, your fellow citizen, your fellow American citizen is not. I want to give thanks to the 4 people on this panel: Kev, Meg, Jackie, Vanessa. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast and giving your voices and telling people how important deportation is and how it is impacting your life. I want to thank you once again. Come on the podcast, but before you go, tell people how they can follow you on social media. Jackie.
Hi guys. So like I said, I got on this platform on TikTok where I tell my story about what's currently going on with me and my husband. He's currently in an immigration detention center, and we're in the works of trying to get him out of there. And if he does end up getting deported to Mexico, I am going to take my child and I go with him. So we're going to document everything start to finish. If we can fix his papers and bring him back, great. So I'd love for you to follow me so that you can see our journey through that. Maybe it'll help you. Maybe it'll help another family. My username on TikTok is at Jaclyn, Jaclyn, and AND, Juan, Juan. So it's just Jaclyn and Juan. That's our story where we're telling about what's going on with our immigration journey. And then I also have Instagram. It's just Jaclyn, Jaclyn, TX_. And yeah, I would love for you to follow me so you can follow us on that journey.
Kevin.
Yeah, so I have 2 platforms. I have the one that I'm on live right now, which is Courtroom 6 Mayhem. You can follow me there on TikTok or my other profile, Original Kev. Yeah.
Came on this platform, didn't know what I was doing, but now, and it's taken me a long time to have a voice, and I do have it now. And I don't really have much on my TikTok. I mainly go live, but I do have to start posting on there. But y'all can follow me at ilovemeg.com because we love Meg. And then my Instagram, again, I don't really post much, but it's Megan _Meneses, MEAGHAN _MENESES. And
The baby. Just playing. I love you.
Box tacos.
Yeah. And last but not least, the wonderful and beautiful Vanessa.
Thank you. So you guys can follow all my social media. I'm pretty much on almost every platform there is out there. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and I don't know if you want to talk about like whatever. There's Snapchat. So all my social media is all gonna be the same. And that's it's gonna be Miss V from AZ, and that's MISSV for Vanessa, FROMAZ. So Miss V from AZ is on my social media.
All right. Well, like I said, once again, y'all, thank you so much for coming on the Treb Show podcast today. And I want to extend the invitation for you to come back anytime you want to.
Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate it.
And just my final thoughts. But this has been tough to see. And anybody knows me, I'm kind of, for the most part, outside of the microphone, I'm mostly shy to myself and kind of reserved. But this is something I can't sit back and just watch. One of our previous episodes is about COVID and the impact it had on Asian Americans. And I publicly came out and say, well, welcome to the club, because Black people go through it every day. That was my ignorance. And with that episode, I had to learn that, you know what? If it's one of them, it's all of us. So look at the same way. If I can learn and be not so ignorant when it comes to other people's issues, so can you. Now, right now, you may be comfortable, may be happy where your life is going right now, but don't dare lose your humanity when it comes to other people. And I'm gonna ask Vanessa this, and I'll see if she can remember this. When our little group we have, there's something I always say about your heart. What's the quote I always say, Vanessa?
Grace in your heart. Yes.
Yes.
He say that. Yes, he does. He does.
Never go wrong with new grace.
Because
Have
like I
grace
said,
in your heart, guys.
we're gonna always disagree. Always. We always will be perfect. Like, like me and Kev. I'm an American, Black American. He's not from America, but he's in America right now. And there's internal racism. Same with those who are Latina, who are Latino and support deportation. Like, no, we have to stick together. Because like they said, I'm part of the media and I have witnessed stories that want to separate and have division. So that's why I have to stand up. Not just for me, not for Kev, not for Meg, not for Jackie, not for Vanessa, but for those who were not as strong as them, who need help fighting. That's the end of our show today. I want to thank y'all so much once again, our wonderful panel, Meg, Kevin, Vanessa, Jaclyn, for coming on our show. Hey guys, the show is not over yet. If you want to see our past episodes, especially the ones about immigration, with the wonderful Obligada Cynthia Santiago, I'm sorry, Cynthia, go to our website at straightupshowpodcast.com. That's STR8, upshowpodcast.com. There you can see all the laws Cynthia's talked about, what things have been going on, and we're going to have Cynthia on this season to talk about more about immigration as it stands with this current administration. Also, if you want to support the podcast, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/straightupshowpodcast 318. That's patreon.com/straightupshowpodcast 318. Until then, that's the end of our show. But there's only one rule to our show. You got to be
Straight up.
All right. See y'all later.